Meeting to order. Please join me for the pledge of allegiance. Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Director Davidson
I'm here.
and Director Thomas.
I am also here.
Okay, item number 2 is public comment. Is there any public comment today? Anybody online? Okay,
Well, maybe we will take a minute in public comment unless introducing Juan is on the agenda. Oh, is it? Never mind then.
okay, we'll move on. The approval of the minutes of September 21st.
Move for approval.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, new business introduction of new engineer.
This is Juan Maya. He's our new engineer. He
Great.
comes
Good to
from,
meet you.
from Tuolumne County Public Works. Worked there for about a year and a half, something like that. And so his specialty is in water resources, so that's why we grabbed him when we could. So he'd like to say a couple of words, introduce himself, and
All right,
welcome Juan.
Yeah.
Definitely use his help.
great. Congratulations.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I live, play, and work in the foothills for 15 years before I decided to become an engineer. Went to Sacramento State, graduated, really like water resources, came back, and I was waiting for an opportunity, especially in a place like the foothills, to work in water. So this opening came up and I applied, and I'm really happy to be here.
Great. It's
We,
good to have you.
yes, one, my name is Russ Thomas, and I'm very, very pleased to have you here. And gonna have a lot of fun with this guy.
Let's see. Let's see.
Thank you, Russ.
Welcome, Juan.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, 4B, proposed contract amendment for PBI for engineering services during construction of Copper Cove Phase 1 and 2 tank B Clearwell project.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Charles.
So we have, as you know, we recently board approved the award of the contract for the TNS construction for the Copper Cove Tank 1, Copper Cove Phase 1, Phase 2 tanks and Clearwell project. That's 2 new tanks out in Copper Cove, and then also the rehabilitation of 2 other steel tanks at the water plant, and then just up on the hill on Signal Hill, just above the water plant. So the PBI has been doing the engineering services. They did perform the design. And they also have a contract to perform various other project design tasks out there. Pretty standard to retain the engineering firm. Often the case to continue on through the construction phase to support the construction phase of the project. They would be doing items such as reviewing shop drawings, answering RFIs during construction, attending regular construction meetings with our inspectors, working with staff to work through any issues that come up on the project. So in this case, we requested a proposal from PBI to perform those construction phase services, and they provided that proposal. The fee estimate was $257,615. We were able to work with PBI to find some savings on other project scope items. So that PBI had proposed a budget reallocation of some of those funds. So we would be getting back a credit of, let's see here, what was it? 215,947, but then they had some additional items. So the overall, it came out to about a credit, a contract amendment of about 161,788, incorporating all these changes. There's a lot going on there. So if you have any questions, I can maybe help navigate those.
Russ?
My question is for Jared. Jared, is this going to be a better arrangement than the arrangement that you had on your last project with the?
PBI. Us do in the field is get to the sites instead of being back here, putting together meeting agendas, processing the paperwork. We work with them to review the pay request, what the quantities are that they're asking to be paid for, and we verify in the field. So it does help it run a lot smoother. With having that, with all the projects that these guys have on their plates, to have them try to do the project management and get the other projects out the door is becoming a very taxing thing with the workload that we're trying to put out there and get done.
Okay, well, I heard, the reason I mentioned that is I have heard rumors that there was often a need to kind of re-engineer things in the field down in Copper.
And that's where it helps with our engineering staff to be able to address those problems on these active projects instead of being the paper pushers. So it helps us a lot with that.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. That's all the questions that I had. Any public comment on? No public comment on this?
I just would add, I think this is probably something we're gonna do more of with the significant projects that we have coming up, and it's great. We've got West Point Water wrapping up. We've got Redwood Tanks wrapping up. So we have some projects that are near completion. But with this project, Jenny Lind A to B, and then some of the developer-driven projects, Jenny Lind Elementary, LGI Homes, the Little John Force Main, Arnold Wastewater, the massive projects that we have coming up, we're going to need some staff augmentation like this in some of those projects. So, I think this is probably something we're going to have to incorporate more of in some of those projects.
Well, it actually does seem like a staff augmentation. I mean, without the burden of I don't know, having a full-time employee there, and who's better qualified to have their eyes on the construction than the guy that designed it. So that's a pretty good arrangement, I think.
So how often is the interaction between staff and
Frequent, like weekly.
but their staff will review any plan changes. They'll also, any change orders, any staff will also oversee any pay request, whether it's complete, all that. You'll have that interaction. It won't just be these guys making those decisions.
That's the way it's worked up to this point. Yeah, I mean, Mark, will be directing that, but yeah, that's would be my expectation. That's how we've been.
Do we count check, like if somebody has a contract and there's, a yard, they bid it by the yard or by the ton, depending on what it is. Do we check the field notes and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
What's that?
We track.
We do that. Yeah, okay. I can remember early on, back in the day, we would review some of those sheets and just doing some simple math, find pretty significant errors on that. And so we just need to make sure that doesn't reoccur. I mean, sounds like. Yeah.
Thing that didn't happen when I first came here in 2007, when we had so many consultants. Of course, we didn't have any inspection staff to inspect consultants.
Right. So
they were just doing what.
No, we would catch just math errors on their reports. So, and that's that AB line thing too. I mean, I don't know how that contract's going to look, but there's probably going to be certain levels of trenching if they're hard rock or stuff like that. We have to have somebody out there to determine, what qualifies as such, if that is the case. So, all right. Russ, you want to make a motion?
Sure. I move that we approve this contract amendment.
Okay, I'll second that. Is there any public comment? Anybody in the public comment? Nobody from the public today? Looks like they lost interest in us. All these people are gonna save the world. Yeah. Okay, please call the roll.
Director Davidson,
Yes.
Director Thomas.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. We'll move on to old business capital improvement updates.
Good afternoon, Bob.
Good afternoon. Hey,
Hey,
good
there's
afternoon.
Bob. Yeah, and Kevin.
We put together a little PowerPoint presentation, kind of showing some pictures of the jobs we've been going on. We haven't done that in a while, so we thought it might be a good exercise to go through. So we kind of made a list of the CIP projects that are in design or near complete design. So we got the Hunters, raw water, Arnold wastewater, the A to B transmission, Block Content wastewater treatment plant, Jangling Clearville tank number 2, and the Copper BC pipeline, and the phase 2 interconnect. And also the developer projects that we've been heavily involved in, the LGI, Coppertown Square projects, and the Jangling Elementary side. So the Hunters raw water, that's so on the left there, that's the old chlorination building. That's going to be the new location of all the electrical and controls that are currently at the bottom of the dam. So in the winter weather conditions and stuff, we need to get to them. They'll be right there at the top of the reservoir.
Did they have any trouble with that bear?
With the bear.
Now, there's a big bear out there that was tearing apart that apple tree that.
Oh, wow. And then on the right, those are the really old pumps that we got in the bottom of the reservoir now. So there's gonna be replaced with some modern pumps, larger pumps that can handle when the water level in the reservoir drops. We've gone through a bunch of environmental review right now with the Forest Service, so they've been pretty difficult to deal with lately on the RFIs, even though we're not on Forest Service property. But we've been working hard to. There's spotted owls, I guess, in the area now that weren't there a couple of years ago, so we're dealing with that. Next slide. So this is the Arnold wastewater treatment plant. This plant project's 100% designed right now, which actually was going to go out to bid until the sewer customers in Arnold are now under disadvantaged community. So we got options to apply for SRF loans, or not loans, grants on that project. So we're working on an application right now. HydroScience, our design engineers, working on a design memo to submit along with environmental documents that are now going to be required as part of the grant application.
What, how will that affect the timing?
Well, this is a CIP loan project. Initially, the money came from the CIP, the first loan that we got a couple years ago. And so it should take probably, it's going to be at least 6 months to do the environmental portion of the project.
So would it be applying for the loan and grants during that timeframe, or?
Yeah, we're working on it right now. They were supposed to be working on a letter report to us for their scope, increased scope to write the engineers a report, and they're also working with, I think it's either Helix or Dewberry on the environmental to try to get them lined out. Because right now it was going to be pretty much an exempt project because we were going to fund it ourselves, and now we have to go through a full environmental review.
If we go out and seek a loan or a grant?
Yeah, well, this would be 100%. The loan, the grant we're looking for is 100% grant, so it's definitely, we feel like it's worthwhile to go after.
Worth doing.
So basically, the job is to put a second clarifier there and new digesters. Okay, the next one.
Yeah, I mean, the grant will slow this down. It has already slowed this down a little bit. And so our kudos to our operators for being innovative and doing some modifications on their own in the meantime, because we were hoping to have this already out to bid and starting construction in the next construction season. That's probably going to hold it a year. But the possibility of a grant is worth the wait, I think.
Is there any part of this proposed work that's going to affect the tribes?
Yes, it potentially could, so we have to notify them.
Okay.
Jalen A to B transmission pipeline, working on getting the bid documents out this month for that project. So it's, you guys know all about this project, but it's a new transmission main and I think it's 4 PRV stations along the way for the pressure. So, yeah,
That's the elevation.
that's the profile there. Yeah. I thought that was an interesting picture, so that's why I included it.
What's the scale on those, on the vertical?
Those are, what is that? Can't tell, mine's,
You know, I would, it would be great to have a competing project in say Lodi and to see the elevation scale on that one, just to put it
Yeah.
as a comparison.
Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3,
50 feet.
but the length of the pipeline
Yeah.
has got to be 150% of the.
yeah, the scale and the
left to right.
accuracy aren't the same, obviously.
Is interesting.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. And next slide. So this is the La Cantera wastewater treatment plant. So we got some budget this fiscal year to start doing the design on this project. So we had a meeting kind of between operations and engineering and brought our treatment plant operators into the picture to kind of talk about the project. So, and then Bob Godwin, our retired knew it. He was very involved in this project during the master plan process. So we brought him in to kind of help us develop the RFP for this project. So he's online if he maybe wants to answer some questions, but so basically the project we're looking at is a second BioLac, which is the aeration activated sludge unit. It's that kind of that second picture down from the top there. So it's an old style BioLac. So it's not as good as the new ones that they're coming out with, because the new ones have integrated clarifiers and nutrient removal and a lot of the things that we really need at that plant. So kind of with the project we're looking at is they have a lot of flow equalization problems with Huckleberry. There's a lot of flow that comes in. They can't take it all at once, especially during the big rainstorms. So if we have a second BioLac unit next to the existing one, we eventually can double the capacity of that plant. And then also we have redundancy in the meantime until build out. So by building 2 of them, you can easily maintain them. And then, yeah, so they were just kind of there's some other improvements that have to be made to the effluent disposal there eventually as the capacity increases. Okay. The next slide. So this is the Jayland water treatment Clearwell number 2. So this one's on the CIP for basically repair and repainting. So during the site visits, there's some holes in the top of that roof on the existing Clearwell. So, and the conditions at a point where the operators won't even walk on top of the Clearwell. So the project scope might have to be increased from just a paint and repair to a roof replacement. So when we did the original Clearwell there, Clearwell number 1, I think it was about 10 years ago, they raised the elevation of the Clearwell. So these Clearwells float together. So with this new Clearwell, we don't have enough freeboard between the rafters and the water level. So we really do need to raise the roof on it, because there's a sloshing effect that can happen during earthquake and can damage the roof. And it's also a standard in the AWWA that's a design standard that you're supposed to comply with. So we're looking at,
How much free space do they require?
you need about 18 inches for this diameter tank. So you got about 6 right now. So one option we looked at is if you take the rafters out, you can put aluminum dome like we do on the redwood tanks replacement project that sits on top of the walls, and you gain the freeboard because you don't have the rafter depth. So that's one option. On the other Clearwell that we already rehabbed in the past, we put like a 18-inch circuit, just piece of a new tank wall, and then raise the rafters up out of the. So we can't, normally you could just lower the overflow and gain
What's the
your
diameter of
space.
the tank? 40?
40, I think it was 42, I think.
No, it seemed, it doesn't, if it was a cone, it doesn't seem like it would need to have rafters. I mean,
Yeah, you could do a dome. We got some prices on domes. It was a, from our vendor that did the redwood tanks. So it's more reasonable, but it's a little bit more unconventional as well, the tank. But so that one, we'll have to talk about the scope here when we get closer to the final design. Next one is the VSC transmission pipeline. This one, PBI is working on this project. We just got the 50% design for the transmission main. So the new transmission main is gonna kind of follow, it's gonna be, I guess, that's west of Little John. Their kind of cross-country line that goes down. Ty, there's a little section there at Copper Valley, Saddle Creek that was put in originally. So we'll tie into that section. And then there'll be a little section that's already built. And then we go up to the B tank or C tank, sorry. So this is going to reverse the flow from right now. We go from the treatment plant up to B tank, and then we pump to C tank. But the C tank elevation is higher than the B tank. So if you reverse the flow, it'll flow by gravity back to B tank. And they're also working on the emergency interconnect. So right now we got that 10-inch line. I'm not as familiar with this project, but there's a 10-inch line that goes underneath the Lake Tolek there that we don't know the condition of, that supplies all of Poker Flat. So this emergency interconnect would supply water to that area there in red if that line were to fail. So now I will talk about the ones in construction right now. So we got the West Point, Wilseyville consolidation, West Point water treatment plant, the Copper Cove lift station, AMI, Redwood tanks, Forest Meadows, Copper Cove tanks, and maintenance building just about done. So this is the West Point, Wilseyville consolidation. That's the, I think it's sludge drying area, beds. And then, so this is one of the KW Emerson's work on this project. So they've been working, they've had some struggles with some delays and stuff, but it looks like they're still going to be able to meet the deadline that we have with our funding agency. But that's the big push on this project. And then we got another picture, I think the next slide is another picture of the West Point. So this is sludge lagoons, and that's a wet well in that picture there. So they got some pretty massive excavations, some pretty good sized equipment out there. Okay, go to the next one there. This is Copper Cove Lift Station project. This is Lift Station 18 on Tiwa and Kiva in Copper. So those are the polymer concrete wet wells that would wait quite a while to get, but these are the ones that don't have any cement in them, so they don't corrode with the sulfur and the sewer gases. So they should last a long time. They don't need to be lined like the other wet wells.
Kevin, there's a prior slide there that you said it was a lagoon. Will that be lined?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Did I miss this sheet here or something?
I think it might have been the one slide before this. You're talking about the drying beds?
That
Oh.
Okay. You don't want to do groundwater recharge up there?
They have some removable panels. That's the one that have this pop out. If the groundwater pressure gets too high, they actually pop out. And as the groundwater goes down, they settle back down. So this is the West Point water treatment plant. This is another one that PBI is helping us on. So it's a new metal building with a new filter inside, and it all these special fabricated pipes that they had to make as part of that project. So it's been a pretty good project. I think they're just about done. I think by the end of the year. Yeah.
It's a segmented elbow. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Steel pipe. Okay, next slide, please. So this is I don't know how these got out of order, but we have the Copper Cove lift station project. This is lift station number 15 in Lakeshore Drive. So this is them loading those polymer wet wells into the middle of the intersection or middle of the cul-de-sac. All right, next one.
Is that our train, Jeff?
No,
No, but we could put one, a budget request in if you'd like. Could you go back to that one real quick?
yeah.
Kevin, is that the similar depth as the one that we were looking at the other day, the
No.
segments?
This one's a lot shallower. I think this one's only like 12 PD, 15
Wow.
PD. So some good, the ones at Poker Fly are a lot deeper, they're twice as deep. So, and they're a solid rock there, so they actually came in and drilled, not for, it's like the same machine they use for drilling blasting, and they drill the holes in the ground. But they just drilled it in really tight formation. And they actually hit one of our lines and we mismarked it. They drill that and then they can break it up with hammer a lot easier. So this is the same location as we showed in the last one, but this is the retaining wall we built. So to make room for the generator and the MCC, we had to take part of that hillside down and build a retaining wall there. So and there were some design changes here that I think helped both of us and the contractor, because there were some problems with our design, but then the contractor was able to make something that worked well for them also. So this is from a while ago. This is when we put the force main in on Burnsbury Road. That right there is a manhole looking material. That's a clean out. We put this job, a lot of our old force mains don't have a lot of clean outs, so the pipe gets clogged up. They're hard to flush out. So these ones, in this job, we put a lot more clean outs in the line so our guys can maintain the pipeline a lot better. The next one. So this is our redwood tank. This is the flume port. This is the one that we had to build inside of existing wall, which made it kind of challenging, but it came out real good. Another one, Big Trees 8 up at the top of the hill.
Is that that dark color? Is that what's the purpose of that? Just
Yeah, so the tank comes in two colors, you get either blue or forest green, so the same price. So you go with either. Some of our old tanks like metal ones stuff are blue color. All these new ones we got the green. But yeah, they only come in two standard colors. I mean, you can get custom colors, but they're more expensive.
And that's an example of the dome.
Yeah, that's be the Linland Dome, yeah. So they're nice because they don't corrode. But there's also some disadvantages to them. This is large square tank. This wasn't a redwood tank, so this is kind of a separate project built into the project. But this one's got a whole new altitude valve and everything, so it's right there in the neighborhood.
And Kevin, these are all fully tied in operational now, right?
Yeah, this has been tied in. This was the last one to be done. I think tied in a couple months
This
ago.
was the tank.
Hmm.
Yeah, so this one was well overdue.
And forgive me if I'm jumping ahead on the agenda again, but I think we have a final completion coming up on this, right?
Yeah, we're trying to close out the grant. We actually had a really productive meeting yesterday with Cal OES on the funding. Somehow our calculation went in our favor and we have actually can charge up to $17 million more on this project, but obviously we only got $1 million more cost, so. Yeah, so we got
well, at least put a logo on it or something.
yeah.
Get some of the custom paint job. We do have another redwood tank out there still. right?
Yeah, Timber Trails, that one's a little more challenging with the NEPA review because it's on Forest Service property, so that would probably slow that process down a bit.
But it's nice to know that capacity, that grant funding capacity is out there. Maybe we do take that on.
Yeah, we should if there's another hazard.
Well, I think, I mean, this is one of those projects that we started a long time ago, back in Lundgren's days, right?
Back in the,
Congressman Lundgren.
oh, yeah. I thought that's what you said. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
It's been a
is-
while, but to see it, near completion, how many tanks did we end up doing up there?
We did
Five.
five tanks in this one. There was two in this previous edition of the Cal OES.
I just think it's a great example of, our,
Yeah.
sticking with an important program. It's something that we need to highlight.
So we're planning ribbon cutting ceremonies both for this project and the West Point water filter projects that are both coming to completion here in the near future. So
Yeah.
Kelly's already working on
Good.
ribbon cutting ceremonies for these. They're you're right. They're great projects. Our staff did a great job on them. We need to celebrate these.
Yeah, I mean, and also, include the example of, what happened on the Patterson fire in, in Rancho. I mean, we had 2 tanks burned down, and then we had to shut the water off on that. I mean, it's important people know that we've been working on this, this isn't recent stuff. This is, we've been thinking about it and doing it for a long time, so.
It takes a long time to bring these grants to fruition.
Right. But good work, though.
This is the UV in Forest Meadows. So Colt, Scoring Construction, they did the concrete work, and then our electricians have been doing a lot of work there. These are very difficult to wire up. They're no easy task. They've been put a lot of time in, and we got a new UPS, the backup power for there. We got really bad power fluctuations there, and it could damage the stuff really quick if you don't have a proper backup battery supply. So. So this is a job that we kind of talked about there at the beginning with PBI. We just had a pre-construction meeting with TNS Construction this week out there at the Clearwell. So this is the lower Clearwell is the existing one. That's going to be rehabilitated. And the one on the top there is the new Clearwell, so about the same size. But yeah, so this is going to be there's quite a bit of grading that needs to happen there to freaking tank that. And then the second part of this project is the B tank. So that's where the redwood tank is, along with the existing steel tank there at the top of the hill, at Signal Trail. So the contractor is going to be in there probably starting the next couple of weeks to remove the redwood tank, build the foundation, start the piping for that tank. And then as soon as that's done, then we'll switch over to the new tank and rehabilitate the existing tank. And then we're also, PBI is also working on them. So a lot of this piping here works well with that B2C transmission main project. So it's got a lot of new piping that feels a lot of new piping. Well, actually, this is not the B2C, but this is for the next phase of it. And then water resources, the departments have kind of merged here recently. So Parks kind of in charge of the water resource department now. So we participate in some of the FERC and DSMP dam inspections over the last month or so. And then our department's going to start jumping in on this FERC licensing.
How many dam inspections do we have to do? And how often?
So they're yearly, but so we went up to, we actually jumped in because they were doing the same time at Utica and Union. So then we went to Alpine, Spicer, McKay's. You can, if you want to go to the next slide, get some pictures too. Thanks, Kate. Yeah, so there's McKay's and Spicer, the hydroelectric there, and Spicer bypassing it. I don't know the exact reason why they bypassed it.
So PG&E had a distribution line down, and there's nothing wrong with the powerhouse, but they couldn't PG&E was not allowing them to interconnect. So the powerhouse, I talked to Jake last week, they had been down for, I think he said at that point they had been down for 20 days already, and they were anticipating maybe another month at the cost of $10,000 a day in lost revenue. So because they have to move the water to get the water to Collierville and to keep, because we have a lot of water up there right now. So they have to just bypass Spicer, and they're losing out on that generation right now.
Yeah, so they keep that place inside there immaculate. I mean, they do a really good job. And they had a lot of damage from the winter weather this year. You can't see on this side, but there's like the translucent panels on the building. Those got busted in with snow on the top. The snow came so high. And yeah, the chain link fence just smashed the chain link fence to the ground. You would think narrow chain link fence would be just fine, but no. Took it all down. And then at Alpine, all the handrails and stuff, I mean, just big angle iron handrail just Yeah, trust.
So up at my cabin, I got out too late last year. And on my deck, it literally pushed the barbecue through my deck.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, then we went to the Colleyville powerhouse, which was pretty cool.
The Collierville Powerhouse, owned by CCWD, recently featured in PG&E's TV commercial ads, though. Did you guys see this? I have a screenshot I can show you. I was watching a Giants game one day, and all of a sudden I'm watching a PG&E commercial. I'm like, wait a minute. I pause and rewind it, and there's the PG&E logo right in front of our powerhouse. Yeah. Jake said he thought they might just have been confused because their powerhouse is downstream a little ways and they just got confused as to which one it was. But I think it was intentional because ours is just better looking.
Oh, yeah.
So that, do
Yeah, that's it. That's good.
you have any questions?
No, I just remember the discussion about how critical the tolerances were on that UV channel installation.
Oh, yeah.
Cole's company came through for you again?
Yeah, they did an awesome job.
All right, where are we at? Other updates? Who's handling other updates? Did we do that?
Gantt chart.
All right,
Hard to see, but on the water projects, we're getting ready to close out, of course, the West Point water supply reliability improvements. That should be closing out towards the end of November, early December, so we'll be taking that to full board for officially closing the project out. And then you look below there on the wastewater project, likewise with West Point, Wilseyville consolidation project. That looks like a mid-January closeout for that one. And then another closeout that's happening short term would be the, let's see, trying to look at this carefully. Yeah, the Redwood tank. So we're kind of finalizing that. And then we got a number of other projects closing out towards the end of the fiscal year, but we'll be updating that later as it happens.
yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have something we can read on.
Oh, no, exactly. And I want to kind of use this Gantt chart to kind of publish out to the public to show them how we're working on several projects and closing them out as they're being completed.
I think larger text is maybe
That's what I'm
he's
asking,
referring
yeah.
to.
What's that?
Something that's legible because
Something I can actually see.
You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of, we try to fit as much as we can in one fiscal year and it shows.
All right, do you have any questions?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. My question is in terms of timing of bringing, did we say already whether closing out Redwood tanks will be on the November 15th board agenda?
Yeah, we need to put on this, I gotta turn it into intelligence.
Okay. So, yeah, so expect that on the next board agenda, the closing out of the Redwood tank project.
Okay, I want
And
to,
then probably the next board meeting for West Point or January for West Point. Okay. Yeah, so it's nice to be able to knock some off the list.
yeah,
And the money's holding out.
What's that?
The money's there to close them out, supposedly. Just
have we had anything come into bid here lately?
Copper Cove Water, which came in a little bit under our engineer's estimate.
Seemed like we had another one too. I'm just. Maybe that was,
That's the most recent big one. We're hoping Jenny Lind A to B will be out to bid by the end of this month as the.
and how long is that? 3 months?
3 months. And then again, maybe some smaller purchases or
I'm just
contracts.
curious if there's any trend of, one way or another. I know nothing I'm doing. I'm getting on the 10th, I'm getting a 5.5% increase in steel. Again, I think they might have lowered it 5.5 early in the year, but now it's going back up 5.5.
For this fiscal year, it's 7.3% for the entire years. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Hope
so hopefully that's the start of a trend, but remains to be seen.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Now other updates? Anybody?
Good afternoon again. So we've had several interactions with the group at CV Development Partners Group, Mike Fletcher and Tom Hicks. Had meetings with operations staff and engineering staff to talk about several projects they have going on out there. They have what they're calling Building 11 and 12, and they're also calling it the Promenade at Miners Camp, which is an outdoor plaza area right in front of Building 11 and 12. They're going to eliminate one of our streets. So we've been talking about some of the impacts to the sewer operations of our sewer system in that area. So talking about maybe moving some manholes around and restructuring the sewer system in there a little bit to facilitate their project. And
Are you designing that?
they are going to be designing we've asked them to provide a plan showing, we've had the field meeting, talked about the modifications, and then we asked them for their engineer, Tom Platts, to provide a site plan showing those modifications. And then they also have a project out there called the Town Square Townhomes. And that's currently working its way through the county planning process at this time too. I just got off the phone before this meeting with county planning. We're talking about that project. So, and it ties into all the other infrastructure improvements they're doing out there. So that I believe it's about a 26 unit condominium project or townhome project. And so we'll have a facilities agreement specific to that project. That in itself is not anything unusual, I think, but in that facilities agreement, what I would recommend is that we have some conditions on the project in terms of performance of the other commitments, that longstanding commitments that they've had with us to put a sewer force main down Little John Road, and then also to upgrade the Breeds Turnpike pump station. So I think we want some specific timetables and deadlines and milestones for those projects in this facilities agreement.
What are they telling you on the design milestone position on the force main?
We continue to meet with them. We just recently, and also we've been working internally with our operations staff. There was an initial recommendation that we thought was going to work to bring basically to terminate the end of the force main near the entrance of Saddle Creek Drive, or what I don't know what they call Copper Valley subdivision, and it would flow into this. So there's various options for where you terminate that pipeline at Saddle Creek or Copper Valley. And the initial one was to dump it in, discharge it into a manhole kind of near the entrance of the subdivision, and it would flow past the clubhouse and across the golf course, and then eventually work its way down to our main lift station. Operations staff had some concerns about that because there's a sag in the sewer line out in the golf course. And then there's also, when you're going past the clubhouse, you pick up a lot of grease from the clubhouse. And so they don't recommend we go that direction. So we looked at what we've been talking with Copper Valley now is about going in through the backside of Unit 4 or through Unit 3, which kind of are out there closer to Copper Cove Drive and Bow Drive.
Yeah, I thought that was always the pathway was going to go like where Copper Cove Drive would extend. And then dump it into manholes out there.
Yeah, so we're very active with CV on trying to work towards getting this. They have a design engineer. The design engineers put together like a 30% set of plans. So we
So it's gone backwards from 60. I thought it was.
well, okay, well, okay, maybe it's a 50% set of plans. But they have an engineer working on it, and they've never had a complete profile section of the pipeline. We've been working out the alignment issues. So I think we should have a path forward, and Copper Valley's very anxious to get this project into construction. They, obviously they don't want to continue using the holding tank there on the corner of Little John Road and hauling truckload after truckload daily down to the sewer plant. So that's in nobody's advantage. So
Oh, well, there's a misconception in the community by a lot of people that they think that arrangement is an advantage for them and always has been, but it's been crippling financially. Crazy.
So that's all I had about Copper Valley Town Square. Gold Creek subdivision, we do have some concerns about that project has been somewhat inactive, and, we brought it up to the kind of close to the finish line with the owner, and we had a punch list of items they needed to complete to close out that project, and we just haven't been able to close it out. So it just creates issues for us to have a system there that's connected to our water system that we haven't accepted, and it's not part of our permitted system. So our operators have to go out there and flush the system periodically. We don't really own it. So typically what we've done in the past in that situation is we actually disconnect them from our system. So we've been trying to talk with the owner about this issue and get it resolved.
What's the result of the recommissioning? They'd have to recertify the back to you and all that.
Yeah, and we would have, the isolation is not that easy either, so that they would be responsible for the cost of isolating the system and then reconnecting it when that time comes. And then, yeah, water quality testing as well.
So
We would like to avoid that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that requires cooperation.
Then moving on to the Jenny Lind Elementary School force main, I've been working with their engineer Castle and their project representative Hugh Logan, and continuing to work towards moving that project forward in terms of, the CCWD's review of their, I think we're up to 100% plans now, and, they want to get that project out to bid and into construction next spring. So we've been doing everything we can to help them move that project forward. North Vista Plaza, LGI Homes, that's on the west side of Vista Del Lago. Proposed, I believe it's 156 unit residential subdivision. We've been working with them trying to finalize a solution for their offsite sewer to get the sewage across the Highway 26 at that intersection, Highway 26 and Vista Del Lago. We have an existing gravity sewer line through that area, and it's a bottleneck in its capacity. So currently what we're working with LGI Homes is a solution that involves a construction of a force main across that intersection and then connecting further down, kind of bypassing the area of the gravity sewer that's along Cosgrove Creek and staying up on Vista Del Lago away from the creek. And so that force main would pump across the highway and dump into the gravity sewer on Vista Del Lago. And then there'd be a lift station on the west side of Vista Del Lago. And so we've been talking about kind of is that going to be a regional lift station and try to get some additional connections into that lift station, or is it just going to serve only?
There's not much left over in that area. That's, that's out of the 8604, service area. It's not part of La Quintana. You know, all the development's gonna occur, you know, across from Gold Creek and then back up around. So I mean, I hope we're making plans that, you know, because I mean, what are those people gonna do? Come down the highway and then go up this little lago? I mean, it just doesn't seem like we're thinking about the long-term solution.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd really call it entirely regional. It will just pick up there's like a sewer shed there that from the elementary school is going to discharge into that area across Vista del Lago. There's
Well, I'd like to see what the general plan says about that area and then who all we're gonna serve. Because even, you know, the more I think about the potential of the lots down Berkesee, so many of them are in the floodplain, if not all of them.
right.
You know, I don't, you know, I mean, maybe they'll, you know, connect up, but they've got other obstacles there as well. And then there's really that project and then I mean, you know, unless we're gonna move the whole service area to a different location. You know, so it'd be interesting to see what you're planning, the whole build out for that area would be. You know,
Okay.
Sure, we just need to look at the county's land use map and see what it says and come up with, I mean, it seemed to be, it has to be regional, but I don't know that there won't be a gap because there are subdivisions between the two that are already developed out that seem to be like an island that will most likely not be developed because they're already 5-acre parcels.
Mhm.
They already have houses on them. Right. You know, the whole, Quail Oaks, you know, the property around Quail Oaks and on down a ways, really to the mini storage
Mhm.
will probably not be developed. It's gonna be that other half that will be.
No, that's a very good point. We should probably project that out a little bit more than. So, appreciate that.
No problem. Is that it?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, general manager's comments?
Just a couple of comments. I think first of all, just want to pause and enjoy the concentration of water engineers in the room and in the room and online. It's kind of a nice moment for us.
We weren't supposed to have them all in the
I
same
know
room at the same
they're
time.
rare these days.
We ought to at
so
least
we
have
should-
one or two of them
We
out.
probably should have them in different locations all the time, but it's really nice to be fully staffed, at least for a few minutes, Charles. Jeez. But we got a strong team here and we need it because obviously the amount of work that we have going on is kind of staggering. But fortunately we got a great team here to work on them all. The only other update I want to provide real quick is just our ongoing saga, is that the right word? Of bringing in the Army Corps funding for the Copper Cove project. We had some really productive meetings in DC a few weeks ago on that front. And then also yesterday, a virtual meeting with Tab Brown, who's the director, I can't remember exactly what his title is, but Director of Projects for the Corps, something along those lines. He gave us some good suggestions. We got an update from the SAC district this morning. And we're hoping to have the project documents because we've basically been on hold for about 6 months now, I think, which is a big setback because it moves the whole project timeline back. And we're really trying to get a construction contract out to bid by October. And that timeline is in question now because of this delay that we've had. We've been waiting for these project documents back from the Corps, and we're hoping to have them possibly tomorrow. If not, they said no later than next Wednesday, which would be great. We're not holding our breath because we've had delays at the last minute in the past, but we're really hoping that comes through this time. We'll turn them around as quickly as we can. And then once we get those documents, though, we're going to let our project engineer know, the consulting engineer on this project know that we can start moving forward again. And one of the suggestions we had from Tab was a good way to help make sure the project maintains momentum and continues to move forward is to actually go down to Sacramento and meet with the SAC district staff in person. They've been really responsive. None of the delay is necessarily their fault. They've been really supportive of the project. They've been very responsive. But we haven't met with them in person yet. We check in with them every 2 weeks at least. And sometimes in between but they've always been virtual meetings. And so I thought that was a very good suggestion from TAB. We floated it with them this morning. And we thought that the next meeting was going to be another check-in on, hey, what's the status of these documents? But now we're actually hoping that it's kind of a restart, a project restart, kicking off the work that really needs to happen on design and environmental. And so that makes it an even better reason to bring everybody together in person, their environmental people, their engineering people, the project manager, our team, get everybody in a room together and chart the course for getting this done as quickly as possible. So we're hoping to do that early December and have those project documents done within the week. So we'll keep the board posted on that. Other than that, I'll be out next week and then see you at the board meeting on the 15th.
Okay. Director comments? Director Thomas?
Yes. I thought we were gonna change the wording on that future to put an L in there. So
And actually, before you go, Director Thomas, can I make one more comment real quick? It's yes, we will fix that. I just also want to address, a couple weeks ago at our board meeting, Randy Scheit made public comment and raised a couple of issues that we said we would follow up on. And I wanted to let you guys know we haven't lost track of that. We're not going to forget about that. We didn't get to it this meeting. We've had a lot going on in the last couple of weeks, but we will bring those items back and we'll make sure Randy knows when we do.
That's in regards to the pipeline assessment.
Yeah, he talked about condition assessments. He had some thoughts on A to B. So we'll make sure we address those issues and we'll let Randy know when we do.
Okay.
did you want to touch on the information about that advisory group that met down at Jenny Lynn Water Treatment Plant? We talked about that on Tuesday at the External Relations Committee meeting, but did you hear about the tour that they had down there?
In the tour they had in my district?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard about it, I think the day before the tour, yeah. Pretty happy about it.
It was 2 days. Yes, it was a very successful tour. We're going to schedule another one in the next couple of weeks and we'll make sure Director Davidson is there for that one. But we talked about it already a little bit this week. I just can't say enough about John Brown and Damon and their team, how thorough and articulate their presentation was. I think 4.5 hours, and they had intended to go to a couple of different sites and they never left the treatment plant because of how thorough the tour was. And so I think it was eye-opening for that group. And we really appreciate that group for spending their time to come out and learn more about CCWD. And we'll follow up with them to schedule another tour in the near future.
When it became 3 members of their group eventually came to our meeting, but the one, not Francisco, but Mike, what is Mike's last name?
Castro.
No, the
Oh, Mike Rogers.
Rogers,
And
yeah.
I think they're both Mike.
Yeah,
Castro.
they are. But you remember how, I'm sure you remember how we were criticized for not knowing what we're doing here, the board particularly. You remember
They weren't not looking at me, but go ahead.
that? But I thought it was priceless that Mike Rogers said about that meeting at Jenny Lynn. He said, we literally didn't know what we didn't know. And we're just saying, wow, you guys, this is a complicated operation here. So
Yeah.
it
is.
Hmm.
So are you complete now? General Manager?
I'm done. Yes. Thank you.
Director Thomas?
I think at the next meeting in January, I want to start talking about some future agenda items that I'd like to see some movement upon. We talked here from time to time about your sentiments that I share about we really should try to look for opportunities to be more supportive of business, but there's some of the ways that we conduct business with potential business. So look out in January.
Right. That it?
Yeah.
Okay. I just have one comment regarding, I just had a email from somebody outside my district and I haven't responded because it isn't my district. And so I'll pass that over to Director Adaman, but it's in regard to the condition of the road going into La Cantera Sewer. I guess there's some complaints about speeding and the condition. So
New Hogan or the dirt road?
the dirt road.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't imagine it was New Hogan, but I
Hogan
can,
Dam.
I'll
Road.
pass that email on to Scott and then he can do as he pleases, but maybe something.
Yeah, if you wanna-
we know what's going on, then we should try to,
Yeah.
you know, remind everybody that there's people that live behind it, you know, I don't know what is that an easement? Is that our road and they have an easement, or do we have an easement and it's their road?
Parts, it's both. Parts of it are ours. But yeah, and if you want to include me on that email, we can make sure we
Okay,
address
I'll
it.
forward it to
Yeah,
you
that'd
guys.
be great.
So, all right, with that, next meeting, engineering committee, January 2nd, looks like. I will also be gone, from the 3rd to the 15th or 16th, so I won't be here at our next meeting. So with that, meeting's adjourned.
You won't be here for the January 2nd meeting,
I will be here for that.
Oh,
I won't
okay.
be here for the next board meeting.
board meeting.
Thank you all.